Welcome back everyone for part 2 of how to work smarter with social media. This is a 4-part video series on how to use LinkedIn, Hootsuite, Twitter, email management, and organizational skills and more to improve your productivity. So in the last video we talked primarily about email. We talked about the focus on an email management strategy to focus on the most important messages. Today we're going to talk about using digital note-taking to stay organized. And then in videos 3 and beyond, we'll talk about using LinkedIn to strengthen your professional network, Hootsuite to coordinate posts, and Twitter for news. So those videos are coming up. Let's quickly review what we talked about last time, which is special thanks to Alexandra Samuel, who wrote a wonderful article called Working Smarter with Social Media, available through Harvard Business Review. We talked about email management. We needed to talk about email before we get to social media because generally your email is the fabric that weaves together all of your social media accounts. If you don't have effective email practices and good email organizational techniques, when you start plugging everything into social media, it's going to become even more challenging. And the idea here is to help you focus on spending effective time online rather than feeling overloaded and distracted. So some of the key points from email was spending more time on focusing the essential messages to which you need to respond. Today we're going to talk about a digital notebook that you can use to organize your priorities, goals, and information. And then later we will actually bring it all together with the social media tools. We talked about how the average worker spends about 25% of the workday on email, and by reducing the time that you spend on email, you're actually going to give yourself about an extra hour of productive work time that you can use on other things. We talked about what's happening offline and what's happening online in your email management. We talked about some ways to improve your email efficiently, including things like tabs and tools and a backlog and filters, and I spent probably the majority of the time in that presentation talking about 3 main ways to organize your email categories: things that require a response, things that require a follow-up, and messages that require a filter. Please go back and review that video on email for more details on those. Okay, so that concluded the review on our effective email routines that we can use. Today I'm going to talk about organizing information around the time you spend online, making you more focused and effective rather than overloaded and distracted. That will be the theme for the balance of these videos. So I want to share with you some tried and tested techniques from some experts here. Kristen O'Donovan, who's a certified life and productivity coach, and John Obstander, a productivity and technology guru, and Amanda Lauren, who's a lifestyle writer. Kristen, in her writing, says that if you're not taking advantage of some of the hundreds of time management apps out there, then you're definitely missing out. And John talks about how the success of our day is largely dependent on the quality of our planning. And I liked Amanda's remarks about how a good day planner is more than just a calendar. It allows you to track goals in various aspects of your life. So I wanted to present to you 5 tools that you can use, be it digital or physical, that I think capture these themes that these 3 were talking about. I want to begin by saying that you need to decide if you want to go digital or physical, or you want to use some combination of the two. So what do I mean by digital? Digital application would be something that's stored on your phone or on your computer, and a physical one would be a traditional pen and paper method. So I'm going to give you several of each of these tools, each of which I've had an opportunity to use, and I'll provide you with some of my comments about each. And I would also like to say, as a matter of full disclosure, I am not endorsed by any of these providers, and I receive no compensation for featuring them in this video. I talk about them because I like to. So, that being said, the first one I want to share with you is Google Calendar. Google Calendar is ubiquitous, meaning it's found just about everywhere, very easy to access. It's free. It's something that you can use just by setting up a Gmail account, and you can go on in there and get started with it. And also, as a note, this is not my actual calendar. This is just a stock photo that I found from the internet. So I'm not really going to the Guggenheim Museum or a Kandinsky exhibition in the month of February. That being said, I do like to ride my bicycle, so that is something that I enjoy. So that's Google Calendar in a nutshell. It's also great because you can share it. The next one I'm going to share with you is called Dropbox. Dropbox I'm going to share with you for two reasons. Number one, it's good for storing things and sharing them with other people. But also the Dropbox case study is very interesting from a marketing and a business standpoint, as this video appears in many of my digital marketing and in my business classes. Dropbox is a very interesting company insofar as they really built the application after a lot of the marketing was done. They already had a large pool of customers that were interested in buying it before they even built it. I might make a video about Dropbox itself at a future day and time, but Dropbox is a very good application to store things and to share them out. It sure beats passing Excel files back and forth. It's certainly better than saving things physically on a USB drive and passing that back and forth. And their pricing points and their packages change throughout time, so I don't want to get into the pricing format, but they often offer some free or low-cost introductory packages to help you get started using Dropbox. The next one is Evernote. I've used Evernote and I have mixed feelings about it. I've used it not that much. I've dabbled in using Evernote. I find that it's very convenient because it stores everything on your mobile phone, and it's pretty clean, it's pretty easy to use, it's very user friendly. The user design is very nice and intuitive. But I prefer to do things more or less the old-fashioned way with a couple of the things like a Simple Elephant notebook. I have one right here on my desk that I'm using here today. I like to keep a Simple Elephant style planner here on my desk, and I'll share with you how it's one where you can actually physically write in the days of the month and some notes, and then here you can write in some of your goals and your week at a glance. I like that setup. To me, that's pretty clean, and it contains the things that I like to use on a regular basis to stay organized. And then I also keep one of those old school composition notebooks, like you may have had them in grade school. They look basically like this. You can get these on Amazon for like a 5-pack for very reasonable. I think I got a 5-pack for like $5.99. You can also get them at the store pretty inexpensively. And I like to keep both of those things out. Sometimes I have ideas and I have thoughts or things that come in that don't really fit neatly into this format. They don't fit neatly into the Evernote format or Dropbox or whatnot, but there's really no substitute for having one of these composition books out. So I can kind of go day by day and put things in there, and as emails come in or as things to do come in, I tend to put it in the composition book first, and then from there I put it wherever it may need to go. If it's goal related or calendar related or anything organizational, then it goes right into my Simple Elephant that I keep on my desk right next to it. Or if it's something of more of a calendaring nature that needs to go for work or work-life balance, then it would go to Google Calendar or what have you. There's also one that I discovered that's an expanded version of the Simple Elephant. If you want something that's a little bit more fancy than Simple Elephant, there's Clever Fox. This is also available on Amazon. This has a little bit more with productivity, motivation, happiness, focus. It's really a more beefy version of the Simple Elephant. So those two things put together will probably capture what most of your needs may be, as well as the digital ones. And then again, just to recap, the purpose of having these organizational tools at your disposal is once you start using social media either for your business applications or if you start using it for marketing especially, you're going to have an account on Twitter. You're going to have one on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. The list goes on and on and on. And what I want you to start planning for is to have some sort of centralized hub where you can gather that content and curate that content and send it out. And at the end of the video, we'll talk about Hootsuite, which is kind of your one-stop shop that will enable you to do all that in one place. But before we get to Hootsuite, I want to talk about some of these more old school, more old-fashioned methods that can be used to great effect, so you can kind of see where I'm going with all of this. Okay, so in closing, I want to point out that most of us really need to select an application that's flexible, that can be easily managed, and I think John Obstander really summarized it well when he said most of us need flexible applications that can be easily used to manage our tough schedule. The application should have all of the necessary time planning functions to be intuitive. So it is my aim that whichever one of the ones that you selected, I think, could capture these ideas here that John had talked about. So I want to leave you with that and remind you that you are in control of your workflow. I'll see you online.